Welcome back to Reshape Live. I am continuing my conversation with one of the most influential women in Hollywood, Roma Downey. And one of the many things that I say that I admire about you is that you live your faith boldly in Hollywood. And that is not an easy thing to do. And I just want to thank you because that has opened the door for so many of us to do the same. So thank you.
Oh gosh, you are so welcome. It's such a privilege to be able to speak of my faith, my love for God, and you know, I was very fortunate all those years ago to get cast to play an angel,
right?
Because honestly, I was not a woman on a mission. I was a woman who needed a job to pay her rent, and when that particular script showed up on my desk, I couldn't believe the opportunity to where you could bring together what you believe with what you do.
Exactly.
And it also had women, you know, they were angels, but they were women who liked each other.
Right.
And at that time, this was the era of the giant shoulder pad.
I know exactly
when all
what you're talking about.
were like scratching each other's eyes out.
Yes.
And I'm a real woman's woman.
Yes.
As you know, we are friends.
Yes.
And I believe we have to support each other and raise each other up.
Lift each other up.
And but it had a central message that there was a loving God and that, you know, that he loves us. And as the angel messenger, I got to deliver that every week. And at its height, Touched by an Angel had over 20 million people who tuned in.
And how many years, Roma?
Every week?
12?
No, 10 years.
10 years.
Yes. Extraordinary. It was a great run.
What a gift.
I know, it was amazing.
To have a show go that long in this town is rare.
No, I know.
But have a show that was in line with who you were, the core of who you were as a person. I think that happens maybe most people.
I know, Ali, and the fact that it had such a following.
Yes.
You know, it's sometimes that doesn't happen necessarily in the coastal cities. You know, New York or LA. And the bulk of those viewers were, you know, in the middle of the country and down through the south. But there's certainly a hunger for things of that nature.
Absolutely.
And I think that when shows like that do well, it speaks back to our community.
And films, which you are doing.
Yes, that there is a business for material like that, that people are hungry. They're hungry for good story, but they're hungry for hope.
Absolutely.
You know, and all the ways that shows up. I mean, I remember when my husband, Mark Burnett, and I decided that we would bring the Bible to television.
Yes.
And, you know, that was a bold move, wasn't it?
Very bold. Very
it's like, oh, you know.
What an undertaking.
It was an undertaking. I mean, we prayerfully moved into that one, and we had any number of friends who work with us in the industry saying, I don't think that's a good idea, you guys. You know, you're going to lose your shirts, you're going to lose your reputations, nobody's going to watch it, you're going to look foolish, and so on. And of course, you know, now we know that at least 100 million people in the United States watched it, and you know, I'm sure more around the world.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you doing the things that you do allow me to speak more openly about my beliefs and my faith and doing projects that are in line with that. So it's a big, big deal. Like, you really trailblazer all the way.
That's so great.
You get that 100%. What I want to know is there any daily practices that you do that keeps you close to God, number one, and also just mindful?
Oh yes, I do. I start my day in gratitude without fail. I think that many years ago someone had shared with me a very simple piece of advice, and that was when you wake up in the morning and chances are you're heading into the bathroom.
Right.
That when your foot hits the floor, your first foot, to say thank. And when your second foot hits the floor,
this is a good one.
to say you.
I like this
then
one.
just to say thank you as you pitter-patter into the bathroom.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to do that. This is easy.
It's so easy. It's
Everybody
such
could do
an
this.
easy thing to remember. And it just can reframe your day into just starting with gratitude. It's like you're you know, you woke up this morning, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, for all that's going to come in today, thank you.
You know, it's so funny that you say that. We're looking at it from a spiritual side, but I'm also very into, you know, follow a lot of people, work with a lot of people, and it's all about hacking, biohacking, like hacking your health, your cellular structure, your brain health. And it's actually there when you say thank you or when you live or have moments of gratitude in your life, it physically changes your molecular structure within your body. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you is, do you write it down? Do you just say it? Do you do it in the morning and at night, or do you?
Yeah, no, I just say it, but I have also in my life written things down with, because I think there's something that just sort of positively reinforces the intention,
Absolutely.
whatever it is. I also, in my practice, I've learned that another great opportunity to move into gratitude is just in the washing of your hands. Another tool.
Roma, you are just full of these.
Well, because
okay, I want to hear it.
It's
okay,
those
I love
moments, you know, we forget. You know, I wake up in the morning and think, I'm grateful. I step out on my porch. I happen to live near the water, and I appreciate sunrise and sunset so much. And I do my, you know, I say my prayers and do my morning spiritual practice. But throughout the day, I try to find moments where I might remember, you know, because I get busy.
We all
honestly,
get busy.
my gratitude lasts till the first crises in the morning.
Right, and then it's like, where's my thank you?
I'm on the phone, I'm trying to, you know, I have a million things I need to solve, a million deadlines that need to be met.
Yes.
And so when I go to the bathroom and I'm washing my hands, and the water hits my hands, it brings me back into the immediacy of the moment. And I say thank you. And so, you know, you wash your hands. I love when I get these little nuggets. And, you know, 20 times a day you could wash your hands, right? So it's a little bit like you wake up and remember, we hit the snooze button, we forget, and then we just need a little, you know, it's like a little reminder throughout the day. So my reminders usually are about getting in to gratitude, because I feel that when I remember to count my blessings, I'm not, you know, counting the things that have gone wrong.
Absolutely.
And it's to your point, I think, which is we have to reinforce the positive. We eliminate the negative. And when we just keep reinforcing that, it actually starts to change just the way you see things, 100%. You know? Because you could look, my old dad did the cliched glass on our kitchen table. I was just a little girl, but the image of it has stayed with me forever. He put the glass on the kitchen table, and it was half full. And he asked the age-old question, kids, is the glass half full or is it half empty? And we were just raised in a way to say, it's half full.
It's half
of course,
full.
To see what you have, not to focus on what you don't have, because comparison is the thief of joy.
100%.
It is the thief of joy. You might as well take your happiness and just start giving it away to people, because there's always going to be somebody with something that you think would make you happier if you had it.
Of course. Know? I love that you gave us those two super simple little things that I have never heard before. That I can immediately apply, and everyone can apply every single day to their life. That is so good, Roma. I just want to put it out there because it came to my mind, and we did see butterflies when we walked in, right? So maybe this is something that round 2 of Box of Butterflies should be a workbook.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Because I love that component, because you were talking about writing it down, and there's something about reading something or being in the moment and you're inspired, but then actually putting pen to paper, it solidifies that thought, that feeling, that emotion, you know, and then therefore you're able to step into your own life and maybe create that for yourself.
Yes, that's good. Well, you have to be able to see it. I think that's true. And you know, and try to you know, give thanks for it. I usually set my goal, my intention, my heart's desire, and then I immediately move into gratitude for it, long before I've received it. Do you understand? I'm already having the feelings that I'm going to feel when it arrives, you know? Now, Della Reese, who was the great wise woman, the great sage in my life, you know,
I know.
Della, Mama
You guys
Della.
had such a special relationship.
But she, when I remember when I was looking for partner. You know, she said, "Baby, it's time you fell in love again." And I said, "I don't know. Where do you meet good guys,
Yeah.
quality guys? I don't know." And she said, "You've got to pray." And I said, "I've prayed." And she says, "No, you've got to ask God to choose for you. And then all you do is make sure that he lets you know him when he arrives." So I always joke, Mark
I'm
Burnett.
seriously getting chills because that's my story. It's my story too.
Well, my husband always jokes with me. He said, "I was an answer to a prayer." I
was
said,
an answer to a
"Yes,
prayer."
you were an answer to a prayer."
And doesn't that feel so good looking at your relationship and looking at your life? Because relationships are tough, you know? No relationship is perfect. I feel that way with mine, that I feel like he really was an answer to a prayer. I let that go. I was not in control of that situation. Like he was delivered to me.
Right.
And I recognize that, and
Right.
so did he. And it just makes us step through our relationship, our life, our marriage in a different way because of that.
Yes.
So that's a gift.
Yeah, brought
gift.
together for
Yeah.
such a time.
Yeah, exactly. So I like to ask all my guests this question because this is about reshaping our lives or any area that we're, just unsatisfied with, or we want to change, or we want to do something different, but maybe fear is in our way. So has there been any area of your own life that you have focused on and decided, like, this is an area that I want to reshape? You did it. And then what was sort of that journey to get you there?
Yes, I mean, I think that if I look back on the course of my career, which has spanned more than 25 years in the business of show,
And still going strong.
and still going
Stronger.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I'm
More
certainly
purposeful,
more
right?
purposeful,
Well,
and with more confidence.
Yes.
I'm sure. But I used to think that that courage was the absence of fear, and so I just assumed that everybody else had tons of courage, and why wasn't I feeling that way? But I have learned that courage is, you can still have fear, but you step forward anyway.
Yeah.
In spite of the fear, that you step forward. And sometimes you don't need to know how it's all going to line up. Just take the first step. Just take one step, one action step into it. I was, as you know, an actress for many years. And when I turned to producing, that was a reshaping of
Yes.
sorts. To, was into my 40s. Quite frankly,
A woman in this business.
there are less roles, it's just the phone wasn't ringing in the same way. And yet I had all this creativity
Yes.
to offer and stories to tell as a storyteller. And so it required a certain amount of courage. To step into a new career. But I was able to do so, and now again, having chosen to write my story, I'm not an author, and yet suddenly I am an author, and I have written a book, and my book began with the first word on a blank page. And so I encourage anybody who's listening today who has a dream to reshape their life or a career, that you won't know till you try.
Yeah.
And the journey of 1,000,000 miles begins with step
step.
number one. So just figure out what that is, and then follow through. And bite off achievable size bites. I think also, because you can say, "Oh, I'm going to do,"
Right.
and I'm going to climb a mountain by tomorrow afternoon. It's like, well, don't set yourself impossible tasks, because you just perhaps set yourself up to fail, and that doesn't feel good. But like manageable sized goals, and
Right.
follow through.
I love that, because it does take courage to do anything in your life. But I love that you said that fear will still be attached to courage.
Yes.
A lot of people think, like, I'm going to do it, and fear is supposed to be absent.
Right.
No, it's going to be there. But on the other side of fear could possibly be greatness.
That's right.
So put that
That's
first,
right. And
it's the
sometimes
first step.
so that they say that the feelings in your body, the feeling of fear and the feeling of excitement, are just a whisper apart.
Right,
It's
exactly.
the same sensation.
I read that.
And
the
so,
other day.
just step into it.
Step
It's
into
like,
it.
what's the worst thing can happen?
Exactly.
What's the worst thing can happen? It doesn't work out. you tried.
You try.
You tried.
And you get up and you try again.
Try something else. What's, the minute you can say, I can manage the worst thing.
Yeah.
People are so afraid to fail, but sometimes failure is the best teacher.
Absolutely.
So that can be a gift as well.
100% I can say that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Roma, you are so amazing. And you give such insight, and I know inspires so many people, myself included. Very selfishly, I'm going to say this interview was all for me. But I'm so glad everyone got to experience Roma and her insights and sharing all these wonderful little nuggets with us. And if you can't have Roma like I do here, you can grab her book.
Oh,
and this is such a personal reflection of who you are that they're going to get it all right here.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful gift.
Thank you, Ellie. I hope so. It's my story, but it's really also my way of honoring a God who has just shown up in my life again and again and again. And this really is a story for him.
Thank you so much. Box of Butterflies. Thank you, Roma.
Thank you.